Hey there, everybody. What you are about to watch is a special one-shots. We have gathered a group of 4 players and a guest DM to play through one of the modules we've been working on in stream. This is Welcome to Brunswick Moor. Welcome to Red Brick, which takes place on Brunswick Moor, and we are going to be playing 5th edition. Um, with no further ado, let's take it away.
All right. Hi guys. I'm Lex Phoenix, or I usually go by Lex. I'll be your DM for the evening, and tonight I'll be running my rendition of the module that was developed by Neil and Chad. So joining me tonight, I have CJ, Gabby, Ray, and Zonalar. So CJ, if you'd like to get us started, would you tell us a little bit about who you're playing tonight?
Sure, I'm CJ. I'm playing a human fighter, Graylin. His background is soldier, and he is a former resident of Red Brick, I believe.
Liam or Ray.
Okay, I'm Ray. I'll be playing Liam. I'm a halfling, an old halfling. I also have the soldier background. I'm an old soldier, though, long since retired from warfaring. And yeah, I'll be playing a rogue.
Okay, Gabby.
I'm Gabby, and I will be playing Eliwick, who is a gnome who is in the area because of her temple and a personal quest she has set upon herself.
And last but not least, we have Zonalar.
Hi guys, I'm Sonalar. I will be playing Trevor Braun Anvil. He's a young dwarf for his age, and yeah, I don't know, I'm a bard apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your party has been traveling together for some time as you make your way to the village of Red Brick, which is Graylin's childhood home. The local lord has fallen ill, and he's been unable to lead his men against a band of goblin raiders who've been stealing the local livestock. Now, rumor has it that the goblins only attack at night, though they seem to be growing a bit bolder with each success. Your party has been promised 100 gold pieces if you can stop the raids and restore the peace to the village. It's nearly dusk as you all begin your final approach. This little agrarian community is sort of nestled at the edge of some foothills which extend further eastward. Now, there's lamplighters going about, finishing their rounds, igniting the lanterns that sort of dot the village. There's a few men armed with only scythes and pitchforks that are setting up to take watch, and they've got their dogs following close by. And then you also see a few townsfolk sort of making their way towards the tavern in the town square. Where would you all like to begin?
I vote the tavern.
Yeah, tavern seems like the proper place.
That's
Yeah.
probably the best place.
Get a drink.
Get some information.
Sure. So you all make your way towards the town square, just ping sort of in the center. Graylin, you know that the local tavern is called the Aquifer, and it is owned and operated by Wiggins and his wife Shelby. So as you approach, there are a few smelly farmers that sort of hustle in before you. They're covered in dirt, and there's this dung smell that kind of trails behind them as the door slams shut before you reach it.
Okay. So we're starting walking to the tavern?
Yeah, I mean, you can go on in if you like.
Yep, open the door, walk in. I've been here before.
Okay. There are several people sort of gathered inside, and behind the desk, you immediately, Graylin, recognize Wiggins. He's in his early 50s, clean shaven, little short salt and pepper hair, and he just smiles warmly at you all as you sort of walk in, and he gives a big hearty wave. He goes, "Just welcome, travelers. What can I do you for?"
I guess I kind of give him a wave and a grunt and nod toward my usual table.
Okay. You can see that it's fairly sparsely furnished in here. There's only a couple tables. There's not a lot on the walls, but there's a few animals sort of mounted up There's, the regular old town drunk off in the corner, and there's a few older people sort of gathered together, and then the farmers sort of cluster in amongst each other. But they have enough space for you all to sort of sit down together if you wish.
Sure. I guess I'll lead the party over to a table.
Okay.
I will partake in the table sitting.
I'm gonna put my shield down and hop up on the table so I can see everything that's happening.
Sure.
Too
I've got a
short to
question.
sit in the chair.
I've got a question that I would have noticed before we got to the tavern, I'm sure.
Sure.
What kind of farming what's the predominant type of farming in this area?
So, for the most part, you notice that this is actually pasture. There are a lot of sheep and goats here. There are chickens that just sort of run throughout the streets. And then they have, the normal wheat and grains that they grow. And then there's a little bit of corn, but it's mostly focused on the grain and the animals. There are some other towns, smaller villages nearby that help support the region. This
Okay.
place is focused mainly on the livestock.
I'd give a nod to the party as I walk by the table then, and I go actually to where the farmers are.
Sure. There's several, sitting there together, and they just kind of look over at you as you waddle. You're sort of a round halfling, right?
Yeah, I'm a old round halfling. I've definitely enjoyed my fair share of second breakfasts and whatnot. So
There are four men sort of clustered together, and they just sort of wave you over. They're all human, in various age ranges, from 30s to mid 50s. You can tell they spend a lot of time in the sun. Their skin is leathery, tan, and they wave you over, and they're excited to meet someone new.
So I walk up fairly jovial. Howdy, y'all. Walking up, I noticed y'all had some fine-looking mutton out there. Would like me a taste.
The older man smiles, and he sort of leans back nonchalantly, and he shares like, "Yep, fine mutton, fine wool. We got whatever you want here. Tastes
Well,
pretty good if you wanna try some."
I surely would, friend. I surely would. I don't know if y'all do any of that barbecue mutton around here.
Barbecue.
Back
And
in
he
back in some of
leans
my
up at
parts,
you.
we do some of that. It's some damn fine eating, if I ever do say so.
He's very curious at this point. All of the farmers are sort of leaning in, pressing in, wanting to hear more about this.
Okay, so I would take a little bit of time and describe the processing of the meat, the slow cooking, and really go into the details about the smells and the flavors, and really get the mouth watering as much as possible.
Yeah, you can see a couple of them. They're wipe a little bit. So I assume you didn't come here just to make our mouths water. What are y'all up to? We don't get a lot of travelers out here at the edge of the Brunswick Moor.
Yeah, so I nod over to the rest of the party and say, me and my friends over there, we've been called upon to take care of some goblin trouble. I don't know if y'all got a few moments to spare to
Yeah,
speak to us about such things, but I surely would appreciate it, friend.
Yeah, they suddenly get very sullen and serious, and yeah.
So I walk over to the
Goblins.
table. I lead them back to our table then.
Yeah, a couple of them do follow you. And they're kind of leaning down, waiting, trying to make sure that they can hear you, your tiny friends.
I'm sitting on the table, and as I see these people walk over, I just kind of start staring at them, and I'm just and I just shake my head in confusion as to why there is a bunch of farming humans following behind my equally as short companion, as I did not hear the conversation. I'm just confused of why he's bringing them over here.
Yeah, they bring their stench with them. Just kind of wafts along and fills the area around the table. And one of them leans down. He says, "Hello there, little one. Name's Horace, and this is my friend here, Maddox. And well, I hear y'all are out here looking to take care of our goblin problem. Y'all must be some good, kindly souls or some brave ones.
Well, Horse and Paddock, we're here to take care of the goblins that you mentioned.
You know, they've been coming in for, what do you say, Maddox? 6 weeks or so? Yeah, about 6 weeks. They've been coming in. Started a little bit slow. They just get bolder and bolder and bolder each time they're successful. And, well, we don't really like to talk about it. Oh, poor Clement. He died 2 days ago at the edge of a goblin blade. Poor man. Found him, scythe in hand, face down in the mud.
He's got a scythe. I've got a scythe. And I pull out my scythe. And I just kind of hold it up in the air.
Well, he ain't got no more, seeing as he's dead and all. But there he was, right next to this, goblin hand, severed, stuck up in the mud.
Where's this? Where does Clement live?
Oh, out there on the edge of town, and he kind of gives you basic directions that would indicate out here.
Is that where y'all been seeing the goblins come from, generally speaking?
At this point, Maddox speaks up and he says, "Well, afraid to say, them old goblins, they ain't sticking to any kind of pattern at all. Sometimes they come from the north. Sometimes we see them from the west. Sometimes we see them from the south. However, we ain't never seen any goblins coming from the east."
From which side did we come from?
You all came in through the west side of town.
Yeah. So cardinal directions are north, up, west, to the left.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. Well, what's on the east, youngin?
Oh, the east side of town. Don't nobody go out that way. That's where the old copper mine is. There's no towns, no villages, no nothing, just a few old outbuildings. That old mine, we abandoned it a long time ago. There was this nasty toxic gas buildup and people's going crazy. And, well, old Tiff, he's the only one who was alive back then, so I don't really know much about it. But nobody goes out there.
A nod.
Toxic gas, you say?
Yeah, poisonous stuff. Apparently over time, people get, these headaches or their eyes would start hurting. It was just nasty business. Old Tiff, he actually lost one eye and he wasn't able to have no kids.
Well, that sucks.
Sure right does.
That mining, that's a dangerous business if I ever do see something.
Yep. At this point, Horace speaks up again. He says, but they what was that? Foothills, that's the word. The tracks supposedly lead out to the foothills, but ain't nobody gonna go out there. We got pitchforks, we got scythes.
Y'all ain't had nobody try to track these goblins back to where they've been going?
Well, we're not warriors. We don't have town guard. That's what your kind is.
I know, but in my day, I know quite a few young folk that done some dumbass things.
Yeah, I believe that, but ain't nobody here, as far as I know, tried it.
And y'all say you never seen no goblins come from the east, where those copper mines be.
That's right.
That seems might bit suspicious to me.
So we got either the foothills or the place with the gas that makes you lose your eyes and not have kids. I vote the gas.
Well, I don't know if it makes you do all those things right away. People were down there for some time. Now, probably not going to feel good if you go in there. Eyes might start watering or something. But I don't think you would die on the spot. At least if you do, we haven't heard of anyone that happened to yet.
Well, how many entrances there be to this old copper mine of y'all's?
Well, we try to stay away from it because there's all these, vents and extra shafts that come out, kind of dotting the hills over there. You could fall through in lots of places. There is one main entrance with the little ghost town at the end of the road. It's just between half and a quarter or 3/4 mile away from town.
So, Lex, how much do we know about goblins walking into this? I mean, I know we're fairly low-level characters.
You all can make intelligence checks. The basic things that anybody would know about goblins are they, operate at night for the most part. They're not necessarily sensitive to sunlight, but they are, very stealthy, and it's easier for them to do things in darkness, being as they have dark vision. They are not as smart or coordinated as a lot of other humanoid creatures. Those would be the basics that people would know.
So you said there's some sort of roll we can do?
Yeah, if you want to make like intelligence history check, maybe you've heard more stories.
I like one too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a straight intelligence. Ooh.
Okay, so yeah, you guys know those basic things that I mentioned. Goblins can be, they sort of vary. Some of them are like sadistic and can't wait to just hear somebody scream. Others are like incredibly cowardly and will only fight if they are forced to, or if they can find some way to ambush their prey. That is their preferred method. Not really.
I guess a specific question that I'm looking at for the answer to is, do we think goblins are clever enough to hide their tracks? Since they're staying, potentially staying to the east, maybe they're intentionally not coming from the east to throw everybody off. Do we think they're clever enough to do that, or do we think they're maybe clever enough to do that?
They might be. You can't really be sure.
Okay.
Well, if you ask me, a normal goblin usually just walks about. They don't really have a knack for hiding their tracks and their stench. But if they come from how do you say, free sides, yeah, there's something more behind them.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of cleverness that I ain't normally seen with goblins going on here.
Yeah.
Something a mite bit fishy about all this.
When it comes to goblins, usually the simplest answer is the correct one. And so we check out our other options first.
Yeah, Horace kind of rubs his face, pats the really just stubble that he's got going on. He says, "Well, I can't say I know all that much about goblins. The only goblin expert we have here be old Geraldine over there in the corner." And at this point, you see, the town drunk. She's sort of like slumped over in the stool, leaning against the wall, got a little drool coming down, and she's got several mugs sort of stacked around her. She's got sort of matted, dirty blonde hair, very, very thick woman. She looks like she might have been someone important or special at some point, but that has just completely let herself go.
Well, what makes she an expert?
Well, she used to be an adventurer once upon a time. I don't know what happened to her party, but when she got back, she wasn't right anymore.
My condolences.
In her current state, I don't know if she's going to be much aid to us.
Yeah, I don't know if she will be either.
I hop off the table and start heading in her direction.
Okay.
As soon as Ellie gets up, Graylin gets up to make sure she doesn't get in trouble.
Okay, sure. So you all make your way over towards her. And again, she's just sort of leaned against the far stool and propped up against the wall, sort of eyes just, flitting a little bit.
I walk up and gently pat her on the leg or anywhere I can reach her. Your name was Grenadine? Is that what I heard, ma'am?
Huh? Who said that?
And I kind of wave from the ground.
Hi, child. I'm a Geraldine. Geraldine. Yeah.
Okay. Geraldine, not Grenadine. Okay. Just making sure.
That's me. Hello. Hello. Hello.
So I heard you were an adventurer, ma'am. Is that true?
Nope.
No.
No adventuring. No more. She just grabs around and she finds the one cup that's not quite empty and she finishes it, slams it down on the bar.
Is there an open chair next to her?
Yeah, sure.
I sit down next to her.
Well, who are you there, mister?
Oh, you know me.
She looks
Graylin.
down at the gnome. She looks back up at you. Who? What?
It's Graylin. I've been here for years.
Oh, you'll have to forgive me. I guess memory's not what it used to be.
No, it's quite all right. I think
Drink, please. Drink. Another drink.
I think you've had enough, ma'am.
At this, she's suddenly just angry. Scowls at you.
like
Y'all come
I,
over here just to
Harangue.
over here to bother, pester me.
I put down my whatever half full flagon in front of the table next to her and say, I think my friend Ellie has a couple questions for you.
I do indeed.
All right. Listen.
So, do you know much about gnomes and goblins, or anything about goblins?
I heard gnomes.
I'm a gnome. I'm not a child.
They like to talk in rhyme. Only rhymes. All the time. They rhyme. Rhyme and time and rhymes.
Not all of us, but goblins. Anything about goblins?
Goblins. Oh, goblin. I speak goblin. And then she just rattles off this just nonsense. Kind of sounds like goblin, but you can't necessarily be sure. And then she stops. See?
Fascinating. Can
Thank
you repeat what you said in English or Common or any other language?
I said, what did I say?
Oh,
What?
dear Lord.
What's your name?
My name's Ellie.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Hi, Ellie. I'm Geraldine.
Nice to meet you, Grenadine.
In the meantime, a dwarf is laughing his ass off in the corner, watching this from the side.
So, do you know anything about why goblins would be attacking the town?
Goblins are attacking, and she stands up. She's reaching.
I think
for
Graylin
something.
kind of puts her hand on her shoulder and eases her back down. All right now, dear.
We good?
We're good. I look over at Graylin and just kind of give him a I tried. You try. Your turn.
Does a curt shake of the head.
She takes your drink and drinks it. Puts it down.
I just let her have it and get up.
She doesn't seem like she's going to be very helpful in her current state.
So Liam is still on my table, right?
Yes, I'm still with you. And I think we still got the farmers with us too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I look over to you and say, it looks like the pleasure police got her. Look,
Hell, I've seen some sloppy drunk people in my times, but holy, I don't know why somebody lets themselves go like that. One thing to have a good time, but damn, what a shame.
Look, if I know something, then it's about drunk people. Those humans just can't take it. I'm going to show you how you handle those folks. Once they go this deep, you can only go deeper, and then you get the gold. So I stand up and go over to the bar and order 2 pints.
Yeah, He brings it right out to you. It's just 1 copper apiece.
Okay. So I flick him to copper, and I bring the pints over to, well, what's her name again? Well, I forgot. So
The woman, the drunk,
yeah.
and Trap.
And while I walk over there, I well, how do you call this? I'm like stepping and make like drummy noises with my foot, with my heavy foot, like stomp on the ground, start on a song, and slam the pints down in front of her and start to sing.
Okay.
Oh, to the bottle I go to heal my hearts and drown my woe. Rain may fall, wind may blow, and many miles be still to go. Hey!
Ellie just starts clapping along because she's used to the music from him by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graylin just goes back over to where Liam is.
Yeah, Liam's talking to the farmers about mutton and barbecue mutton again, and
Yeah. Scratching
Okay.
my back, reaching my pint, saying, "My name's Trevor. What's yours?" Big smile on my face.
Yeah, so as you all are carrying on, you start to hear some commotion outside. There's some excitement, and then someone just bursts in the door, screams, "Goblins!" And from the far side of town, you can hear dogs just going crazy. Everyone just starts filing out. They're either fleeing to their own homes, or they're going to grab arms. You can't be entirely sure, but everyone is rushing out. And Geraldine takes one final drink, and she starts stumbling towards the door.
so Liam hops right up and charges out in whatever general direction he thinks the goblins are.
Okay.
Graylin's
Well,
Warhammer.
looks like this problem is solved.
Ellie cheers, runs over, grabs her shield, and just starts running out the door.
Sure. So you all exit the tavern, which is here next to the town square. And the sounds seem to be concentrated on this far north side of town. And as you start to file out, you can see whatever farmers were already armed have started converging on that way. And in the light that the lamplighters have provided, you can see about half dozen or so goblins rushing across this bridge, sort of shepherding sheep. And you can see there's just chicken feathers just flying all over, just a cloud of feathers as they are rushing, trying to escape.
Can you pick the location again?
Sure. Let me see. Select. Okay.
Cool. And we're down here.
Are there any sheep near us?
There are a few on the far side, and then there are a few. Most of them are concentrated on the east.
All right. So I'm just gonna keep running that way. Just shield in one hand and a free open hand, and just keep running in the general direction of the chaos.
How dark is it at this point?
It's actually quite dark, but where they've lit up along the streets trying to protect themselves, those of you without dark vision can see fairly well, considering.
So I wait for Eliwick to catch up, I guess, if I get out the door before her, and then as soon as she goes by, I'm like one step behind her, because I know at some point it may get too dark for me to see. But as long as I can see her, I won't be stuck out there lost.
Sure. So Graylin, being the only one that can move fairly quickly, he is off. The rest of you, your little legs carry you quickly as they can.
She's just hustling. She's excited for a fight.
Sure. You can see they're moving this way. So maybe I have a map for you. Okay.
Graylin's very much the babysitter of the group, so he's trying to not get too far ahead, but still be in front.
Sure. So if we zoom out a little bit. So in the brush, you can see there are two goblins. They have short bows, and they're sort of trying to make sure that the exit is clear. Most of the sheep, by the time you all reach, have gone this way. The farmers have mostly just been trying to stop them from attacking their own barns instead of directly engaging. And the goblins are trying their best to disengage to the north. So you can either continue to pursue them or hang back if you wish.
Can I fire a shot from my short bow at one of the nearest ones?
Well, let's see. You'd probably be another, probably 40 feet back from where this view is. But
Okay.
what's your range? You could try.
Oh,
Have they
hello.
noticed us at this point in time?
Being as there's so many other people out, they're not
Oh.
focused on any one particular target. They're just focused on making sure they get the sheep out
Well,
before anyone else gets there.
I mean, I assume that nobody's directly attacking them, so they're not
Right.
they're not necessarily expecting to be attacked either, right?
Right.
Townspeople don't normally fight back.
Well, since the one guy died, they've been a bit more cautious about how they engage.
Sure. Short bow is 80, 320.
Okay, so yeah, you can try to fire off a shot as they're trying to flee.
Okay. So yeah, I'd want to fire off a shot. I guess I'm too far to really try to aim it too well, but I would be going for more of a stunning blow than a killing blow.
Okay, so maybe you're just like trying to aim for his leg or something.
Yeah, pin him to the ground, stop him. I want a goblin captive.
Sure. So you can fire off a shot.
Okay. Am I getting any type of advantage or anything, being as it's...
No, where they're all sort of paying attention and you're in the light, it's not necessarily a surprise because they're
Okay.
waiting to be attacked,
Okay.
but they're not focused on anyone in particular.
Got it.
16 is definitely hit. So as you draw and focus down on it,
Max damage. Wow.
you can see that they're not actually armored. They're in rather basic rags almost. And instead of having, the normal glinting short swords or scimitars they might fight with, these two only have their sort of shoddy short bows, and the others just appear to have basic stone daggers that they're armed with. But none of them have armor. So you easily shoot this one, and he dies or goes unconscious here by the bridge. When the other one sees you shoot him, he stops trying to hold the line and backs up a bit more. So
So-
he runs across the bridge.
I
Are
head
you
for the
gonna
bridge
try
and
to
just,
continue pursuing, or
I just head straight
Yeah.
for the bridge and start running.
Yeah,
I think,
I'm
yeah.
pursuing.
okay?
We're actively pursuing. This is our job.
Okay. So you all continue to flee, or chase after. If you want to roll initiative real quick, we can see what order you all get to move in.
Yeah. I would say I don't know where if we're starting initiative here, but I do want to run up and check on the goblin that I shot.
Wow.
Damn, Liam.
Yeah, just wait, my time's coming.
I got a solid 3. Proud of it.
Mhm. Let's see. Wonder why I see it.
How does this initiative work again? Oh.
If you click on your token,
Found it.
okay.
You rolled a 0. Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't throw it into the tracker. Okay. So Liam, you get to act first.
Right.
So the goblins they're not trying to hang back and, engage with you all. They've just abandoned their friend and are fleeing with what livestock they have at the moment.
Okay. I just want to run up to him then and make sure that I didn't absolutely kill this dude.
Yeah, you can try to stabilize him with a medicine check. If you have medicine, or just a straight wisdom check.
I would
I'm not
love-
trained in it.
I would love to try to get into 60-foot range and throw one of my light throwing hammers at the goblins.
Yeah, you can move up your speed and see how far that gets you. You might be able to get one of them as they flee.
Okay, so
This is just sort of a low brush that they've planted along the edge of the creek to sort of keep from all sliding down. So you can see over it. It would just be difficult to move through.
nah, yeah, they are out of my throwing range.
Okay. I mean, you can continue to give chase if you like.
I will.
Try something else. So you can basically dash, move twice. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, then I will do that. So how big is this creek, actually?
Let's see. It's pretty far across.
So jumping across...
13, probably 20-ish feet at points.
Yeah, okay, then I will run to the base of the bridge.
Okay, so you're dashing up there. Graylin, what would you like to do?
I'll run past Liam and Tarvok, I think. Alright, I'll probably get to right where Liam is.
Mm-hmm.
And see if I can huck one of my axes
Sure.
at long range.
At long range, so that's at disadvantage, right?
Right.
Okay. That's still good enough. It's a shame it's not a... Okay, so which one are you trying to throw at?
I'll throw at this one.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, you thunk it pretty solidly in the back of the head. Just take off one of its little ears as it's trying to run across there.
Dang.
Anything else you want to do?
I think that's it.
Okay. So, Liam, you see Graylin rush up behind you and just looses a hand axe over your head, spins through the air, chops off this poor goblin ear as the goblin's trying to flee. He grabs at it, his blood just starts gushing out the side, and he turns to look back at you. You think he might try to fire off an arrow before he continues moving. And in fact, he does. He turns around and he draws down on Liam, and he's going to fire his short bow. 17.
Yeah, I would argue that I was bent over his friend.
Unless you're actually prone.
Check.
It's
I'm not actually prone.
right. It's just partial cover right now, but it's still 17 to hit, which I think is good enough.
It is.
Watch out, he's trying!
So
What's partial cover? Is it 2?
it's a +2.
Okay. Yeah, it matches then.
So it's just 4 piercing damage as he kind of hastily draws down and fires on you, and then continues to move. The others aren't going to bother to stop. They just dash on. Out of your sight. Yeah, beyond your sight. Ellie, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna move up to where Liam and Graylin are with this other little goblin.
Sure.
I'm gonna use lay on hands and heal him for just 1 point. 'Cause I have,
Okay.
I have a pool of 5, so I'm gonna stabilize him just enough where he can possibly try to talk to him, but
Zap him back awake a little bit. Okay.
nothing too much, just enough for a hard hit to take him out if we needed.
Okay. Liam, Eliwick hustles up in her heavy armor, reaches down. You see the goblin sort of filled with this warm, divine glow, and his eyes flicker open briefly underneath you.
Before how big is this goblin compared to me?
He probably weighs maybe 35, 40 pounds.
So he's like half my weight.
Maybe, yeah, he's a small creature.
Okay. I'm small, but not so small. So I proceed to just sit on his chest.
Okay. So you're just gonna pin him down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Travik, do you want to try and follow the rest of them, or are you gonna stay here and just focus on this one guy?
Wait for me, goblins, I'm coming!
Okay, they're pretty fast. They're faster than you, but you might be able to get in, reach, and throw. I think this one that's hurt is the only one that might be still in range.
Yes! And I pick out one of my 4 hammers on the sides. And I try to throw it on long range.
Okay, sure. So that's at disadvantage.
Yeah. Throwing hammer, go!
12, good enough. You just thunk right in the back of the head, and then you just see him tumble head over heels, and then just face plant in the dirt.
Ah! I got it, lads! And I try to look if he's down or not.
Liam's shaking his head. Liam wishes you'd let the bleeding go, because we could have tracked the blood trail back easy.
So you guys are gonna hang back now? Graylin, what would you like to do?
Graylin just yells at Travik to grab his axe he threw, and checks to make sure Liam's doing all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I would pick up the axe and check if the goblin is actually still moving or on the ground or getting up again.
No, the one that you thumped is good and dead.
So
Okay.
I guess on my turn, if we're still in turn, I want to ask Liam if I can have a turn at the goblin.
I don't rightly believe we got to worry about this here goblin much. He
I
ain't
just have a
going nowhere as long as I sitting on him.
few questions for him.
Oh yeah, I believe we all got quite a few questions for this here goblin. In fact, if one of y'all want to pull some rope out of my pack, I suggest we tie him up and bring him back to that town center we be at a minute ago.
I do drag back the other goblin, like, I don't know. I don't want him in the forest, guys.
The body.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You drag his little body behind you.
I walk up to the goblin that I'm like near the goblin that I healed, and I just start kind of poking his head with my foot.
He's
Just like, and you just hear me, and I just go, "You awake? You awake? You awake?"
Do any of us speak goblin?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I don't think
I'm
so.
just
So
being
I-
annoying.
Mid-tongue.
I need to
Pull
go
out-
back to the drunk.
yeah, I pull out Liam's length of rope and I hand it to him.
Yeah. So I take a couple minutes to hog time,
Okay.
and then I assume that
Yeah, I'll throw him over my shoulder.
yeah, I was gonna say Graylin plus a couple people could, but if he's only 30 pounds, one person should be able to haul
Yeah,
him.
I grab him by his scruff with my weapon hand and just start carrying him back to town square.
Okay. So you have your little goblin friend.
Grail's pretty strong.
I would like to say that Liam's coming back to town with an arrow just sticking out of one of his shoulders.
Sure. Okay.
I will just pass by one of the townsfolk. Make sure to burn up the goblin.
Yeah. You realize as you have got the goblin and you're starting to make your way back, you got a little bit of an audience that's sort of built up around you. And they've sort of been watching in silence. But as you start dragging the one back, they all start cheering. You're not sure exactly what they think is going to happen, but they may be thinking that you're going to torture or some other way take out vengeance on this one little guy that you've got. And there's sort of happily go off and burn the one body that you all brought back.
I trot up near Liam and I kind of poke him in the side, trying to get his attention.
Yeah. Well, what is it, Ellie?
I can yank that arrow out of your shoulder if you need.
What? I got an arrow? Wow,
And I
damn!
kinda-
I didn't even notice. Yeah, if you'd be so kind as to take this out of me, I'd appreciate it.
I'm gonna do a medicine check then, and see if I can, without killing him, yank the arrow out of his shoulder.
Sure.
It's a good thing to test.
Yeah, go ahead. Make a medicine check.
Let's see how well that goes.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
roll a 1d4.
Damn it, Ellie! I thought you knew what you was doing.
Ouch.
You die.
She's a paladin. I'm a
Oh,
paladin. I can't do that.
Ellie reaches over and grabs and she starts pulling and it's hung a little bit. So she gives it what she thinks is just the slightest little bit more pull and just takes a chunk off with it.
So 4 more damage to me.
I'm a
Yeah.
paladin. I swear to God, I know what I'm doing.
Normally, you
da-
push the arrow out instead of pulling.
Damn it, Ellie!
Looking at that, I'm gonna
Hurt.
use lay on hands and heal him for 3 points.
Okay, sure.
So
Almost
See,
as
I'm
good as
looking at-
you.
looking at the arrow with now just a chunk of my friend on it, looking back to my friend, looking at the arrow, and still staring at the arrow, I reach up and just kind of put my hand on the wound and just heal it.
It's sort of divinely starts to stitch itself back up.
Yeah, so you only really took 1 point of damage because I healed you for 3.
Only one. That's okay. That's a little damage between friends, right?
You got an arrow out now, and I just I hold it out to him like, you want it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll add it to the collection. Hell, you've been through 3 or 4 wars like me. This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing.
I just like give you a hearty clap on the back. Ah, so it's good.
With that, I just turn right around right on my heel and just start trotting back to the tavern. Just like, yeah, good job, you did it.
As your entourage sort of fills in behind.
Save the day.
What'd you say the tavern keep's name was? Wiggins?
Wiggins. I can type it in the chat. Sorry, I'm sick, so my voice is all weird.
Yeah, so I think we get back to the tavern and Graylin's still got this goblin by the scruff and just looks at Wiggins and say, I think we need to borrow the back room.
He kind of looks around. Well, you can go out back where we chop wood and dump stuff, but I don't really have a back room.
That works.
Well, we could borrow the front room then if you ain't using it right now, which you ain't.
Well, we could use a kitchen, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think what we could really use is Grindlin. Where's she run off to about now?
So, you see, she didn't actually make it very far. She collapsed right beside the door.
I walk over and I just kind of start like poking her to see if she's alive.
Hey,
She is
Wiggins,
alive.
can we get a bucket of water over here?
Shelby, water, please, water.
At this
All right, I'm going.
At this point, Graylin's walked the goblin over to a table and sat him down on a table. He's has a gauntlet on his throat and is just giving him a very stern look.
He tries to match your gaze, but it's really not intimidating at all. He's putting on the bravest little face he can.
Aw.
30-pound goblin is not very intimidating.
What skin of color has this goblin?
This one is sort of a greenish yellow. As you're sort of holding him there, you can see he's actually fairly thin framed. He doesn't have a whole lot of meat on his bones, especially for a goblin. He doesn't look, particularly well fed. He's definitely not bothered cleaning himself, probably ever, as there's just like hard clumps of like dirt and grime and whatnot, sort of pockmarking his skin. And he smells absolutely wonderful.
Ah.
So yeah, he's
Can
just
I
not
drink another pint?
Wiggins, you know anyone who can speak goblin?
At that, you hear the scream of Geraldine being splashed with the cold water.
And
she just screams out in Goblin.
And there's an accompanying scream from Ellie as Ellie is mildly covered in water as well and is now like, oh, come on. So
She's-
not only is she's soaked, I'm soaked.
So, Geraldine is awake, and Wiggins just sort of slowly points in her direction.
Hey there, Geraldine. We be needing some assistance from you about now.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Assistant.
Geraldine, you help us out. I promise you, there's 2 pints in it from me to you.
I have a question for the DM.
Sure.
Would alcohol be considered a poison?
In 5e, it is.
Okay,
So
could I
advantage on
use
the
my last point of healing and neutralize the alcohol in her system and try to clean her up?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, get her straight over to the hangover.
Yeah, I'm gonna take her straight from an alcohol to the hangover
Yeah.
just immediately. Rip.
I mean, it's also a point
It
of...
takes 5 points to neutralize a poison.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
it? Oh, damn.
So you only
Alright.
got one left right now.
I only got one left, so I'm just gonna be like,
Plan for tomorrow.
yeah, tomorrow. I'll clean her up.
We can see what she can give us now. Let's see what she can do.
Okay.
I promised her a couple of pints if she can get any info out of this goblin. So
Okay. So she sort of wobbles slowly back and
I pull a
forth.
chair out for her so she can plop down on the chair if that's what she
She just
wants.
kind of melts into the chair.
Yeah, I kind of circle around the back of the table behind the goblin, still have the hand on his shoulder, take my warhammer out in the other hand.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and roll an intimidation check?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, he's definitely paying attention.
I think Geraldine's the one we need to be paying attention to.
She's sort of.
Hey, so Geraldine, we got us a goblin here, as you can see.
Mhm.
We need you to ask him a few questions and tell him
That is a goblin.
that you're absolutely correct. What we need you to do first off is tell this goblin we're going to ask him some questions.
Goblin?
I wait. In Goblin, Geraldine, you got to remember to say it in Goblin.
So she leans in really close, and then she just screams really loud.
So she spits in his face, basically. Good.
How does the
Good.
goblin react?
He's sort of trying to quiver a little bit because he's not really sure what's happening. And then there's a little bit of garble back, and she turns back to the lot of you. He is open to, what's that word?
Questions?
Negotiate.
Okay. I'm glad he's open to negotiation.
That one.
You
Negotiate.
need to tell him that the way the negotiations work is every time he answers a question, my friend here, pointing to CJ, won't smash one of his fingers off with one of his big hammers.
Put the hammer just like next to the goblin's face.
The friend's gonna smash fingers.
In Goblin, Geraldine, in Goblin.
Okay. And then she goes, and the goblin responds a little bit. It's a very short, and she turns and says, he says he is amenable to your demands.
I figured as much. I figured he might be. He
articulate little guy he is.
Yeah. Well, I think go straight to the point be the best thing to do here. Geraldine, why don't you ask him where those goblins be holding up at?
Goblins?
In Goblin.
Goblin? Okay. And she spills in. This goes back and forth for a while. So you're basically trying to find out what exactly?
I'd like to know where they're at and why they're doing what they're doing. What caused them to move on to this town?
Okay. So basically, he's going to be a little bit resistant to spilling all of his details, but he explains that they want the livestock. They don't care about the people. They're not trying to destroy the town or anything, but they have to get the livestock. And he emphasizes they have to.
Right. And does he say where they're at or where they're taking the livestock?
He just says the whole. That's the only way he knows how to describe it is the whole.
Can he give us a general direction?
He kind of like points around and then like that, basically meaning east.
Okay. And then I don't know what everybody else wants to know, but I want to know why they have to. Is there like a bugbear or something else controlling them, making them do this?
So whenever he hears the word bugbear, you can definitely see there's like a flicker of recognition in his eye, and then he tries to just play it off like, nope, never heard of bugbears.
Wait, so we can tell that he's lying to us?
He's not a very good liar.
Okay.
Because there's that moment where you can see
the fear flash in his eyes.
Right, but he knows he's not supposed to be.
I look over at CJ then.
Yep. I give a nod at Liam, and my hand slides down his shoulder to his arm, firmly grasps his wrist, and just smacks the hammer down on the end of his fingers.
Oh, jeez. So you smash one of his little fingers, and he just screams, and it's sort of like that Charlie Brown, like full mouth open, just ah. sort of scream.
Aw.
Yeah.
I imagine we do like the little finger, the least important one.
Yeah.
Just the very tip of it.
Sure. You notice this is one of the goblins that still has all of his hands. Like you heard before that there was one that was missing one. This one did have, full intact hands, and now you're, eliminating his fingers.
Right.
But eventually,
He agreed to the negotiating terms.
to loosen up a little bit.
Just fulfilling our end of the bargain.
Right.
Mhm. So basically, he tells you that there are a couple of bugbears that are making them do this.
Okay. What do we know about bugbears?
But you all can, they're going to roll history checks. See if maybe you know something.
I'm the most knowledgeable person around.
Same.
So Liam and Eliwick are actually somewhat familiar with them. You know that while bugbears are technically medium-sized creatures, they grow to great heights. We're talking 7-8 feet tall. They're members of goblinoid families, but they're much more formidable than these little goblin guys that you just took out. They're known for being able to wield weapons that are much larger than someone their size should be able to. They hit a lot harder than any other medium creature really should be able to. They will just
What
waylay.
about their intelligence level and their motivations?
You know that they're mostly motivated by survival and treasure. I think those are their two big goals.
Okay.
So bugbears are bears of the size of a bug.
Or bugs the size of a bear.
Bug.
Holy! Wow! This
I
blows.
could ride on one.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, definitely.
The mention of riding one, Ellie starts getting off into this daydream of her riding a bugbear.
Da, 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 da.
Well, which type of bugbear? The bear the size of a bug, or vice versa? Because you are fairly small.
Well, it'd probably be the bug the size of a bear. It'd be more intimidating.
It would be.
But wouldn't that be a bear bug?
Maybe. But during this whole conversation, Eliwick has wandered over and is talking to Wiggins about getting a towel or something to dry off because she's currently half soaked. From
Yeah, he just directs you to Shelby, who helps you get,
Yeah. So I'm listening. I'm just like half paying attention.
Well, y'all, I think I got what I came here for, information wise. I don't know what y'all be wanting to do with this here goblin, but seems only right that we let the town put him on trial.
Well, look. As far as we know, he still doesn't know where he's hiding. No.
Well,
Shouldn't he?
We should make him lead us just in case. It could be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I mean, we were hired by the townsfolk. Why don't we pose the question to them, see what they think about it?
Sounds good to me.
Well, if you ask a group of farmers what they think,
But I mean, these be enlightened farmers. I could tell by the way they paid attention when I talked about barbecue mutton.
Mutton.
muttons
think-
are good.
I think we tell him that if he leads us to where they're hiding, we'll let him go. But then when he shows us, we cut his head off.
Now,
That's not necessarily the most honorable thing.
If I tell this goblin I'm
True.
going to be letting him go, if he shows us where he's going, we're going to have to let him go.
I would rather smash his head in. That's a dwarven way.
They're gonna. I think the right thing to be doing is finding the lead farmer or the mayor or whoever of this town and asking them what they want us to be doing with this goblin.
Fair enough.
So, Graylin, you know that there isn't really anyone in particular in charge. There is the town elder, or Oltif, that people sort of go to for counsel.
Oh man, Ultif.
But there's no mayor who oversees everything. There's no real town hall. So there's Oltif, or I mean, could seek the counsel of a priest.
Here's what I suggest. I suggest we walk him out town square. We hold him up, and we tell the towns, we tell my family, my friends here, that we're gonna have him lead us back to the cave, and then bring him back for proper trial, red brick
Sounds
style.
good.
That seems agreeable.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yep. So at this point, Waylon puts his hammer away and just picks up the goblin by his scruff again. Starts walking out the tavern.
Sure, and you still got him tied up, right?
Yeah, he's hogtied.
Okay. So you sort of take him, and there's a circle that's sort of gathered around, waiting to see whatever has transpired inside. Like, they were trying to be respectful, but they're certainly curious.
Yeah, Graylin gruffly walks out there and just like holds him up. It says, "Liam, if you want to do the talking."
Well, I mean, sure. I'm not afraid to do some talking. Okay, y'all, listen up for just a moment. We done captured this here goblin, and he's been mighty helpful in locating where the rest of the goblins be, and in revealing what the hell's just going on with these goblins attacking y'all. What we can tell y'all is the goblins ain't got no interest in hurting y'all. They just trying to get some food, and that they ain't doing this of their own accord. Somebody bigger and badder forcing them to do this under the pain and threat of death. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this goblin lead us back to where they be, and then we're gonna bring this goblin back and let y'all have a trial. Now, I gave this here goblin my word that y'all give him a fair trial, and I imagine y'all be doing that, right?
There's sort of a low grumble amongst them, and there seems to be sort of a temporary agreement that, oh yeah, sure, that's exactly what's going to happen.
I think Graylin speaks up and he says, "And we all know the punishment for stealing livestock."
They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a little frenzy going on as they start to press in a little bit closer to your goblin companion.
I still have him pretty high, and Graylin's a pretty big dude.
Yeah. They're not going to try and tackle you or anything for him, but they're pretty interested in vengeance.
Y'all just back up. We all gonna get a good night's rest and take care of these goblins in the daytime on our terms, not on theirs.
Why don't you go ahead and make a persuade check with advantage?
Starts with a P, right? Persuade. Aha, I found it.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. They immediately back up, and some of them are resuming their watch in case more goblins, for whatever reason, risk coming back tonight. The others sort of slowly file off back to their homes.
Now, had we sorted out overnight accommodations before we showed up here, or?
Yeah, maybe I have family still in town we're staying with.
Yeah, you all could stay there. You could grab a room at the Aquifer. Yeah, it's kind of up to you all what you'd like to do.
Yeah, I
would like-
think staying with Graylin's family makes the most sense.
My mom and pa.
Graylin, what is your? Are they also farmers, or what do they do here?
Yeah, I'm assuming they're farmers, and Graylin kind of left when he was just about 16, 17. He had some younger brothers to help around the farm, and he wanted to go off and fight. So
Okay,
they're
sure.
probably a lot older now. They're like late 40s, 50s maybe, because Graylin's into his 30s.
Okay, sure. So you all start to make your way towards Graylin's family farm. And I think at that point, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And then when we come back, we'll figure out what comes next.
Ooh.
Clear. You guys are